Hello, welcome to the video,
Welcome,
everybody,
guys.
all our millions of followers.
Billions these days.
And today I want to talk about a little bit different topic. Last time we shared our personal stories, right?
Right.
Like how we perceived our burnout, how we went through all the phases, how we believed that we're like the only ones who ever
Yeah.
experience all these things. Like when I'm looking at a broader picture now that we're both recovered or like both out of it, what do you think in general leads people to that problem? Because it's increasing more, right? We talked about the market is getting more, unfortunately, bigger in that case. And when you look at the statistics, it's like every time it's crazier than the stock market. It's
Yeah.
every year 10% increasing. What do you think is the general problem with our society or the way we do things?
I mean, it's a lot of high pressure. Like society's getting more high pressure. You can also see that with like just a general thing like Elon Musk now taking over Twitter, kicking out like half of the employees. The other one need to work 10 hours a day or 12 hours for 7 days a week. Like there's a lot of businesses that put a lot of pressure on you, um, and we also put a lot of pressure on ourselves, right? And I think that's for me that's where I started. That's where I can recognize the point where like my ex would make me kind of force me to do things I didn't want to do, and I was already like too many things that I need to handle and responsibilities and just putting everything on myself, and then wanting to escape from that as well, um, which leads a little bit, as you said, like the facade. For me, it was like, oh, try to retreat, party, and drink, and then come back and be like, oh, I need to do so much, and people depending on me, and like, it's that's for me. I think it just a lot of pressure from the outside and inside.
Yeah, but the pressure from outside, it's always there, right? Like the pressure, maybe now we live in the society where it changes, it gets more stress because the market, like more competition or whatever, everybody
Yeah.
wants to be first.
Yeah.
Everybody is hustling. But the pressure from the inside, that is the difference. Like when you allow the pressure. Because for me, that was a
Yeah.
particular point where I started to allow the pressure to
From
inside
within, right? Yeah.
from within. Before I was like, oh, everything we do, like, I mean, we don't suffer from starvation or we have a
Yeah.
roof above our head. So everything else is like on top, and only when you let this pressure inside and when you think, okay, now I have to be to do that race or like to compete with other people and stuff like that. You want to be first, then you start to pressure yourself from inside.
True. But also, I feel like for at least for men, it's very natural to want to be competitive and to want to be the best or to want to be successful and to want more. Especially when you look at your parents. I think we talked about this a little bit as well. Like you see your parents where they ended up or like which level, and you want to do better than them, and also make them proud. Um,
Yeah.
and you need to do good in school, right? Get the highest grade and stuff. And everybody is different, of course, but like you get a little bit pushed into, oh, you need to be successful, right?
Doesn't mean, yeah, I agree with that. Doesn't mean you always felt this pressure your whole life
No.
that you talk about, or
Well, and I used to be like a pretty competitive gamer when I was young,
Yeah.
and that's where I think like the competition went for me to a higher level, and I wanted to be the best from my friends or just other teams or whatever. Which other people have it in normal sports, and normal sports I also want to be the best, but just depends if I really was into it. But yeah, I think it's a very natural response. The best survive, the strongest, the
that
most
is true.
adaptable.
The way I'm looking at it now is, so you said you worked 70 hours
Yeah, at
a
some
week
point,
and
yeah,
more.
maybe more. Yeah.
Then you couldn't work at all anymore. I also pressured
Yeah.
myself to the point where I couldn't do shit for, I don't know,
Yeah, but it took a
very
while.
long time. It took a while.
It's not like, oh, 1 week of 70
No, no, no.
hours and then you crash.
Of course not.
So,
Of course
yeah.
not. But then at the end, what does it like? What was the benefit, right? Like, what was the end result? If you combine it, like the average would be still a 40 hours week, let's say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, of
And
course,
then
but you don't expect to get
You
burned out.
don't expect to get burned out.
Like you hear it from other people and think, oh, what a loser. You
Exactly,
cannot handle
right?
it. And then you're in its own situation and you look at yourself and like,
how could
can
I become like that?
How can I be so stupid?
Yeah.
Like, thinking like I'm immortal. I can
Exactly.
keep going, partying. You know.
Did you have this phase also? I like when you say, "Think you're immortal." Did you
Yeah.
have the phase where you're like, "I can do whatever I want," and I'm like,
Yeah, at some
never
point, I had this
breaking.
twice in my life. I got like a fire inside of me. The first time was when I was 18, and then I lost it after like a few months. And this fire just made me feel like I was the best in the world. Like I had energy for days. I went to the gym. I could do anything and everything and be focused. And I just felt like superhuman almost. And I've talked about this with a lot of people, and not many people have this feeling or have ever experienced it. But the ones that do say it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Like you feel immortal. And the second time around was when I was already very stressed. Like we were deep into the business already, and like we had a lot of clients, and I got it again, and I didn't want to let go of that feeling because it took me like 4 years, 5 years to get it again, and then I had it, and I was like, okay, fuck everything else, like girlfriend, you can go, I don't care about you anymore, I just want to feel this, and that's probably like the last straw or whatever, like that burned me up, because I was already doing maximum capacity, and I went like times 3.
Yeah.
Within a week, and I just did that for a month, and that just killed me, I think.
Because you also don't want to you're afraid of losing that feeling, right?
Yeah,
that's
that
why
feeling,
you
yeah.
keep holding on it
Yeah.
as much as you can, although it's like getting looser and looser,
Yeah.
and you keep holding
Keep
on it,
pulling,
trying to pull it
Yeah.
closer. Yeah.
And I would still do like probably anything to get that feeling, because in a sense it made me feel like I was the best I can be as a man.
Yeah.
And sure, it made me see things. You can let go of things that don't matter, and it made me hyper focus on the things that actually matter, and just go all in on that. And it felt amazing. And I think if I wasn't already like properly pretty much burned out, then it would have been great. But bad timing, I guess.
So, do you think you would always live off that feeling? Is that a natural thing, or is it just a high that we that we
Yeah.
talk about? And
I think it's impossible to have it for a super long time.
yeah,
Because maybe some people can, but I don't hear a lot of like super entrepreneurs talk about this. So I think they have those moments as well, but not like super long time. I think it's very hard to maintain.
what I think the super entrepreneurs and what I really admire about them is they have more consistency, right?
Exactly.
For me or for you as well, it was more this like going
Keep
while the
going.
machine is
Yeah,
running,
exactly,
right?
and do
But
everything.
that's also we talked about it as well. Like there are certain personalities that get burned out.
Yeah.
So when you have a fire, then it can burn and
Yeah.
it can burn out.
Exactly.
When you have consistency and when you have like your daily struggle or
Yeah.
whatever your daily problems, then you don't get that high, but you also don't get that low.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yeah. I think you got it right on the head. Yeah. Maybe it's like I still don't know if I just let the fire burn out or I put too much wood on it. You know, there's two ways a fire
that's
dies.
amazing
right?
analogy. Yeah.
So what is it? I still don't know, because I've learned from like pretty wealthy entrepreneurs that the really super entrepreneurs, they do less. They have the least distractions possible, right? they don't go home and play video games or do stupid
Yeah, yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
Like they don't get distracted by whatever. They plan their day really well, and that's
Yeah.
it. No, nothing else gets in,
Yeah,
and that's how they maintain their focus and their
yeah.
power.
But when you say you don't know if you let it burn out or if you put too much wood, and you mean
Yeah.
you don't know if you just
How the fire died, right?
if you put too much stress and too much workload,
Mhm.
or if you just gave up.
No, I
On some
didn't. I
point.
didn't give up. Like, I mean more like maybe I did not feed myself the necessary things enough.
Yeah,
So either I did too much work and put too much wood on it, like too much work, too much distractions, too much unnecessary things. But I don't think that was necessarily it. I think I pushed away the things that were healthy for me to keep my fire going, like small moments with important people, you know, love, relaxation, meditation. I did that as well, but my connection with God was not as strong at that moment, I think.
Yeah.
It was way stronger when I was already burned out, right? When you're in a low. As I said, I pushed away my girlfriend. It's like, I don't need you anymore. It's a very unhealthy way, I think,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to break things up. But
It's I would describe it as, and I also think I know what you're talking about. I would describe it as like there are two different ways to burn out. Either you reduce the or to let the fire like go.
yeah,
Either you reduce the oxygen that you give to the fire,
yeah, that's also,
which means
yeah,
like the things that feed
that
you,
it needs, yeah.
the good things that like spending
Exactly.
time with your loved ones, hobbies, whatever,
exactly.
or you just put too much
Too much shit.
too much stress on it. And
Yeah.
I think there are both factors and
Yeah.
both time for everything. Because for me, when I felt like I'm falling back in my job, but it was not only career wise, I felt like I'm not capable of holding that position that I'm doing.
Okay.
And I had this experience that I'm not capable of like doing this. And then I questioned, okay, but what does it mean for my life? Am I not being able to be an entrepreneur? Am I not being able to
Right.
to do my own business and stuff? What was always the plan? And that then I said, okay, I have to put more and less. Like I can't be distracted by going out or like hobbies
Yeah.
or things that do well for me.
Exactly.
That's why I said I reduce the oxygen
Yeah,
for
I
the
d-
fire,
I
and
did
it's
that as well.
kind of both things. I thought, how can I regret myself? Not regret. How can I give myself benefits from anything? Like do something good for myself
Yeah.
if I don't deserve it,
Yeah.
right? And that gets even worse. So that's when it like
Exactly.
from both sides, I would say.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I think I did both sides as
Yeah.
well. Too much work, just increase the work and decrease the things you need and that
Exactly.
are healthy for you.
Because I
And
also
then it dies really fast.
then it does really fast.
Even
Yeah.
faster, yeah.
There are like these. I made a video in the YouTube channel in German before about that. There are the 5 aspects of life where your life is built on,
Right.
like creativity, health and mental and physical health, work life, work, and some other stuff I don't remember.
Yeah.
Like, but when you reduce and when you put everything on one side, like
Yeah,
only
everything falls down.
it's all collapses because once if it's like a house, right, and 5 poles.
Yeah.
So let's say your job isn't going successful enough, you still
Yeah.
have 4 poles to hold
Exactly.
it on. But when you put everything on one pole and that one starts to crumble, and
Yeah.
it will because then the
it's
weight
too
is
much
only
weight.
on one pole. Everything starts to crumble, then the whole house collapses because it doesn't have any
Yeah.
weight to support on.
Yeah. Exactly.
But what is really interesting for me to know, how can you, what would you tell your younger self like before to listen to yourself to avoid it? Is it even possible? I know it's a very fictional question, but isn't it even possible?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think for me, it was always gonna happen at some point. Either at that age or 10 years later, maybe at millions, maybe broke. It doesn't matter. I think it was necessary for me, for
Yeah.
sure. That's one thing, and I think the second thing, it would have happened anyway. Pretty sure, because I needed to learn all this to not
Exactly.
get
yeah.
into it again, you know. And now that I'm also struggling with some aftermath from it. You need to be really selfish to get better, right? And some friendships kind of crumbled as well because of it, and I'm trying to restore that now, because I see now I was a little bit selfish for too long afterwards.
Yeah.
When I was already kind of better, I was still not really thinking about other people and how things affect their life and stuff. So that's also a thing, like your relationships really crumble from it sometimes, or they get stronger. If they do get stronger, it's amazing.
But I really, I don't know. It's I will always say I experience exactly the same. Sometimes it's strange, but it's
Yeah,
it is
that's very
it is
logical. Yeah,
it is what it is. Because when you say you're selfish for too long, you probably also had this phase where you're like, fuck everything. Now I'm gonna take care of myself.
Yeah, you
right?
have to.
You have to.
Yeah,
And then
there's no other way.
you feel like you're taking everything back.
Mm.
What the energy that you lost, you're feeling like
Yeah.
you're taking everything back. So you have to be selfish. But I
I
also,
wouldn't say like take it back. I would say just don't give it away anymore. Yeah,
or maybe not give it away
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
but that was really hard for me.
For me, it was taking back control
Right.
and not giving away the energy.
Okay,
And
how did you take back control?
well, I isolated
that-
myself from everybody because
Right.
I thought I don't wanna, like, treat people in a bad way or have like emotional breakouts or something.
But,
You know.
Yeah, but you cannot
So-
you cannot be isolated forever.
No,
so,
you cannot.
So what did you
But-
do when you got out of the isolation and you still wanted to keep your energy?
That was step by step. I got to the point where I didn't need this approval anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that was after months of isolation,
Right, right.
where I said, okay, I don't need this approval anymore. I'm recovering slowly and things get better.
Yeah.
And I don't need, like, I can go back to normal life step by step. It was still sometimes that, okay, that was maybe too much.
Yeah.
Because
of
you
course.
fall like back in old habits or
Yeah, yeah.
old patterns, sort of in negative and low energy and stuff. But the point is, when you feel like you're selfish for too long, is it also, because for me it was, you are in your own bubble
Mhm.
and you isolate yourself from everyone,
Yeah.
so you become distant, or you have like negative emotions to other people or something,
Mhm.
because nobody proves you different, sort of, so to
Yeah.
speak. I don't know if that makes sense.
Treat you different, you mean?
No, I mean, if you meet your friends every day, you
Yeah.
have fun with them, you
Yeah.
have a good time with them. But if you isolate yourself from them, and that's the time when you're also very negative in your head and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
thinking everything through, and then that's like becoming, I don't know, additional distance to them,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they think you kind of disappeared. You probably think they don't care for you enough,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's a very interesting.
And this
Situation.
process, like to realize that and to get up, to also not take it personal, because it wasn't personal, right?
For some people, I took it personal, but
I
that's-
took it personal too,
but not like.
but not.
Yeah.
But after that, I realized, okay, nothing. What happened to me, and only I can gain control back only if I get to the point where I don't take it personal anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
'Cause
True.
There's so many things in life that can fuck you up,
Mhm.
Like if you take everything personal,
Yeah, no, for
it
sure.
doesn't do you well.
For sure.
And to get to the point where like, okay, now it doesn't affect me anymore, because like when you get when you can't handle your life and people still criticize you, or people say like, hey, what's your next plan, and that even stresses you out,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
do
yeah.
take it personal. But then to get to the point where you're like, I don't even know if that's the right way to do it or not, but I did it this way. I isolated myself to the point where like, okay, I'm start to feel better in my own world, and
Yeah.
then you start to bring people in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. That's a good way of putting it, yeah. You bring people into your circle, and when you're done with their energy,
Yeah.
you kick them out instead of you
Sometimes
stepping out of your own energy.
Sometimes it is like that.
Yeah.
Can you?
Now that you say that, I want to like address something like for the people that will listen to this. I think the major sign is being very sensitive to things, sensitive to energies, room energies, like what people do. Like if you've really noticed a lot of things that other people don't notice, it's probably something you should look at. Like,
Yes.
because maybe you are very much into the characteristics.
Yes. That's the beginning.
Yeah.
I also would describe that as the
Yeah.
beginning. For me, I had this very nasty, uncomfortable feeling of something that is pulling me down, and in that phase, I cannot focus on anything,
Yeah, you just
and everything becomes unbearable. Even when the clock was ticking, I hated
Oh, yeah.
the sound of the
I
ticking
still
clock.
do, yeah.
You still do?
Yeah, it's worst
And
thing.
it was like you can't do anything, but you hate it at the same time.
Yeah.
And like you want to get over it, but you don't know how. And it's this, yeah, like very, very. That's a good sign. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
notice, you get more sensitive than usual,
Yeah.
and you get more resistant. I want to say as well.
And to
'Cause-
to what? To people or
More resistant to what you do, or to people. For me, it was the resistance.
right?
It was, for me, it was always to,
But I think a lot of people are like resistant to go to work and stuff. That's very normal.
yeah, but if there was something that you was passionate about before, or
Yeah,
something that
okay.
you would enjoy,
Yeah.
and then you become resistant, and even
Yeah.
in your private life, or in not private life, but in your free time, you do things that you become resistant of.
True.
For
Yeah.
me, normally when I had a plan, when I wanted to do something, when I wanted to see the movie at 7, there would be nothing distracting me from seeing the movie. Maybe at
Right.
7:30, because I'm not the most punctual person, but I would
Really?
still be.
I haven't noticed.
But I would still be there and see the movie. And during that time, when I made plans, and you could become resistant for everything, and then even the phone battery is empty, or
Mhm.
something like very little obstacle
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
that
freaks
can
you
change
out.
it, can change the whole life,
Yeah.
the whole day.
Yeah,
plan.
yeah, yeah. True. Yeah, I think it's pretty accurate.
Can you? Did I just ask you? I don't know.
No, not yeah.
I am 100% sure that that will never happen to you again.
No. Because right when I really got into like the worst, like the real beginning of it, with the blackouts and stuff, we were gonna merge with another business. They were also in the city we worked in, and they were a big IT company. And we were gonna merge, and I would be like kind of like operational director, which is a lot of responsibilities, like probably 10 people under me, and my friend would be the marketing team, and like instead of going easier, we would go harder. And I was hesitant, and they could know, and I need to go on vacation. They were like, okay, why is that? And then I talked to like the owner, and he had like 5 businesses, and he said like, yeah, you probably have a burnout coming, or you're already in it, and I've had it twice. And
Who said that?
that was the owner of the other company
Yeah.
that we were gonna merge with. So
He knew what you were going through.
Yeah, he had his suspicions. We were not really that close, but we talked like 5 times or something, like big long meetings. And then like he was older, like in his 50s and stuff, and he had like 2 major burnouts. Like he says it's probably gonna happen again after
Really?
this as well. I mean, it's normal, right? If you, that's why I'm also a little bit scared to get back to in like full hardcore entrepreneur mode. It's I'm scared of that, of course. Like you know how it feels. Like you never want to be there again,
Yeah.
but the chances are pretty high that we will end up there again.
It's interesting because when it all started and when I started to feel better and started to get to this like discovery journey of getting back to yourself again,
Yeah,
I told myself never will I ever end up there again, and I will do everything in life. And now that you're back, you're like, how the hell can you even tell? Because you realize it yourself so late when
Yeah.
you're like different factors, and then you see look at different factors from outside, stressful environment and stuff, and then you always say like, okay, if I solve this problem, then it will be less stress or release or whatever, and you know you don't notice it until you're there already.
well, I can tell I'm really self-aware nowadays. Like if I go out one night, like I'm very conscious about what I'm doing in the moment, the day after, how I'm feeling. But that's probably because it's still fresh, right? Let's say 8 years from now,
Yeah,
you kind of lose like the bad things, like what happened. Like you still remember it vividly that
Yeah.
you were sick and what happened, but you can it's a slippery slope, right? You do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you start to feel worse and stressed, but you don't really notice, and at some point you're going down, and you're sliding down. It's not like you're walking down. That's the thing. You're sliding by yourself almost at some point.
but that's what I'm doing. What I'm doing now. That's why I want
That's what you're
to.
doing. That's not good. You're sliding down.
No, that's
What do you
that's why I
mean?
do all this. That's
Right.
my plan to guide people through the process and to
Right.
do all the videos or write a book or whatever. To also for myself, whenever I see, okay, now I'm sliding down again,
Right.
then I will have someone to tell me how to get out of the process again, and that
Right.
someone will be, I don't know, me from
Yourself.
from the future, from the past,
From the past,
future.
yeah, to the future. Yeah, no, but I
Well, that's the idea behind it.
yeah, I
That's-
think that's a good, great
so.
idea.
You also, yeah, it can happen twice, right?
Yeah,
and
for
people
sure.
have been
People
burned
have
out
3,
twice.
4 times, yeah.
Shit.
But there's also a difference, right? Like how soon you notice it,
Yeah.
because some people are in burnout for like 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
It's some people cannot go back to work after 2 years. They're still at home by themselves, and they while they're having like someone help them, like a burnout coach and everything. So it's very, yeah, it's very different every time, I think, as well.
But some people also just drastically change their life and never go back to that danger, I want
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah, probably, and that's smart. But sometimes things happen that you cannot control. Let's say you get a wife and a kid, and something's happening to the kid.
Yeah.
Is terminally ill, or your wife, or both, and stress from work. You're about to lose your house, whatever. Like if everything happens at once, like you cannot just be like, oh, you know what, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have to.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
So that's the thing. Like also with a business now, I obviously consciously think, okay, in the long term, if we scale really hard, how much time would this take? How much stress would this give? What type of customers would we get? You know,
Yeah.
if they give me headaches, I'm not even gonna even think about building a business in that area, in that niche. So you have to be smart about it, yeah. And I think what you are doing is really great in that sense, because you're gonna help a lot of people, and I think that positive feedback is the most important for sure, because that gives you positive energy,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
you probably will never get really down, right?
And now that you mentioned like when you have a family and
Yeah.
more responsibilities and wife
Yeah,
and
then
kids,
it's even different,
it's
right?
it's completely different.
Yeah.
For me, it was, how can I lose control over my life if I don't have that many responsibilities yet?
Yeah.
How can I be like a husband or a dad
Yeah.
one day?
Yeah.
That, like, you know, for
Yeah,
me
it's
the
scary.
whole, it was not only work or something work related, it was one thing, but then the whole life perspective changes.
Yeah.
Like, how can other people survive with that and have much more pressure and stuff, and I crumble from the first challenge or so. That's how I felt in that
Yeah,
moment.
that's the negative thoughts.
Yeah, but that's how I felt in that moment.
course,
and then
yeah.
I was like, how am I even, like, what would I do if I had a family now? What
Yeah.
would be, like, I couldn't have the chance to properly recover probably
Mm-hmm.
before needing to start working again to provide
Yeah.
for my family. And
Yeah.
that is a scary thought.
It's also a pressure thing, yeah.
It is
Like,
yeah,
what if they're
absolutely.
gonna leave me, and like you can always see it with friends. Just be like, oh, I won't talk to him until he's better. Like people that knew just acted like, where were you all this time?
Yeah.
Like, bro, I was very sick. Thank you for asking, even though you knew. Never got the message, right? Like that's scary. Like how people can forget you.
Yeah.
Even people that I saw like almost die in front of my eyes and then would not even message me in like 2 years. And then I even though I brought them like to the hospital, whatever it was on the festival, but like that also fucked me up. Like how little other people can care about you at the same time.
Would you, in a different situation when you are like hustling, very successful, the business
Mhm.
works well, can you honestly 100% say that you would care for them if you saw somebody like that? Because it's like negative energy from like, you know, you become cynical, negative energy and stuff. And would you also try to pull up the person, and on some point you would be like, okay, if he doesn't want to, then that's how it is.
Yeah, at
You would
least
get up. Because for me, I think even especially before I knew
Mhm.
about these kind of things, if I had a friend who told me like, oh yeah, I'm burnt out, I'd be like, come on, don't be so negative. And, you know, like, I would
Yeah.
be doing exactly the same mistakes that probably other people did.
Probably, yeah. But I mean, that's fine, obviously, in the beginning. But when someone says like, "Oh, I'm like very sick,"
Yeah.
then I think it becomes different, right? And obviously, we went through it, so now I've seen how some of my friends can really help me and help me through so much shit. And like, I would never stay away from some friend ever again if he got sick or
Mhm.
anything. I would just fly there and be present because I know how much it means. And like my friends really just dragged me through it at some points, like when I was really done, and they helped me get back up. And like I'm eternally like grateful forever. And like if they do that for me, I should at least do it for someone
Yeah.
else, like if they become in this situation.
Yeah.
But I understand what you mean. I was also always like, oh, negative energy, just stay away from it. But there's negative people and positive people that are negative.
Yeah, true.
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And that's if you can see which one is which, then I think it should be fine.
Yeah. I think for me the problem is because it also like hits so close to, I want to say childhood, maybe teenage years or something. Like, so hit so close to the bone.
Mhm.
Is it an expression?
Kind of, yeah.
That I would become like an insecure little teenager inside.
Mhm.
That I thought, okay, my friends just don't understand me. So I didn't even let my friends to the point
Okay, really.
like so close. I tried to explain, but on some point there was always this.
Not even one friend? No girls, nothing? That's
Well, I did try to explain a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I tried to involve everybody.
Yeah.
But because I was trying to involve everyone, even
That didn't work.
and that didn't work. So when I closed up myself from everyone.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing to do.
Yeah.
Now I know that
So you had no one at some point.
I felt like I had no one at some point. That's not true, because my friends always said to me like, "Hey, talk to me and
Yeah.
explain to me, you know, and like, I'm there for you." And
Mhm.
that's the case, absolutely. But I did have moments where I felt like, okay, I'm going through that by myself.
Of course, yeah. You are going it by
Yeah, yeah.
yourself. Yeah, true. But you get help along the way. That probably for me saved me. Like if I didn't get like two of my best friends helping me, I don't know if I would even try to get better at some point.
Do you think when you not even trying to get better at some point, you would still feel better at some point? Because giving up has also is magic, or is
Yeah, we
effect?
talked about this, right? But I think for me, like giving up at some point, like getting really down, yeah, that helped a lot. But like really giving up, then I would become so depressed. Like I don't think without them I would have made it, honestly. Or maybe it would have taken me 5 years instead of
Mm.
almost 2.
Yeah, so for our millions and billions of viewers who have a partner, child, friend who's burned out, what would you give them advice when you ask, how do I even deal with these people? And like, how do I want to help, but they also feel helpless, right? Because
Right.
they don't know what
For
to
sure.
do.
Yeah.
What to do, like, if they even ask, how are you? That can be stressful sometimes. You
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah.
So how do you even get to that point?
Even the question, how are you? Yeah, now that you say it, I can just remember being in that situation so many times and just explosion of emotions and thoughts. And
Yeah.
be like, why would you ask me that? Like, in a very weird way. So that's pretty funny. But I think the professional help that I got, like I didn't get like a therapist, but more like a real burnout coach. I think try to get the person that is in a burnout, someone that can help them, right? And then when they are getting help, be also in contact with them, or have some, like even have a coffee like 30 minutes and let them explain to you what it is, how it works. Because for me, even after a year, I would tell people it's also physical, like your kidneys get fucked up and
Yeah.
stuff, your hormones and everything. And they would be like, what, really? Oh, I thought it was just in your mind. And that's like that's the worst thing to hear almost.
Yes,
Because
yeah. It's
they're
like you're
pretty much
faking.
saying they're pretty
Yeah.
much saying it's your own fault. You're just
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
wrong or whatever.
Yeah, true.
But I would say just read about it and try to understand it, but don't assume things, or don't say like, oh, so it's like this, or so
Yeah.
it's like this, because it will always be a very big understatement.
Yes.
And yeah, I would just say like try to spend time together in nature. It's very important in nature, like to go to forests or beaches because of the energy, and then just let them decide, right? Like how much time and
Yeah.
where, and so it's not like pressure. Like relieve pressure pretty much would help a lot. Yeah, I think
That's very good. Yeah.
yeah. Like responsibility pressure, try to take it away, financially, emotionally, whatever,
Yeah.
and be just supportive and loving. It's tough. It's a really tough one.
It is.
Because
it is very
I
tough.
still don't know how I would try to help someone in this situation.
But it really helps to find people who are in the same situation and talk to
Mm.
them. And
Okay, yeah, I didn't even have that. Like I knew
for-
nobody.
I didn't know anyone either.
Yeah.
I just googled like, is there some information like that? Yeah, people tell about their burnout stories, but they don't share the like, you know,
Right.
the real feelings. They don't talk about how they sit on the bed and cry and don't
Yeah.
have the energy to go to the kitchen to make
Yeah.
yourself a sandwich or something. They
Yeah.
don't, like, I feel like it's a lot of hidden
Yeah, it's very
things that you also, it's hard to talk about.
Yeah, it's a little bit devil in the details as
Yeah.
well. Because you try to make it very general, but so many like the small things. That
Yeah.
At some point you cannot get up out of bed physically, like you don't have the power, and like those things people will not understand.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Okay, thank you so much for this
Yeah,
talk.
thank
I
you.
really liked it a lot. The camera is, the battery is dying. So thank you
Okay.
for watching
Yeah.
and see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.